Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Sigmafp. This is the world's smallest full-frame interchangeable lens camera, but more importantly, it is capable of shooting externally 12-bit RAW 4K video, which is pretty much unheard of, not only based on its form factor, but also its price point. The kit I'm about to share with you, which includes the 45mm f2.8 DG lens, retails for $2,150 US. Body alone, you're looking at $17.99. Now, the 4K prowess, the cinema prowess of this camera is all about external capture. And for that, you're going to need external hard drives, whether you're working with Samsung T5s or Sabrents like I have here. They are ideal for capturing raw video from this camera. Keep in mind that anything you capture with an SD card internally will be limited to 8-bit. So that's something everyone should know. And while this is capable of shooting still images at 18 frames per second, that is not its forte. So the first thing we've got right here is the 45mm kit lens. Let's take a look at that. Pop this back in. All metal construction, and by the way, this camera is weather sealed, so that is important to mention. Very solid construction on this, but I expect that from Sigma. Some of my early favorite lenses for Sony's E-mount were from Sigma, and Sigma to this day continues to make some great products. This camera really comes out of the Quattro lineage, and I expect very good things from this, again, on the cinema side of things. If you're looking for using, particularly to use this as a still camera first, I don't know that I would recommend it for that, because that isn't, in my opinion, who it's designed for. Let's take a look at what else we have here. By the way, the actual camera body, if I didn't mention it, is literally 1 pound. Think about that. Full frame 24.6 megapixel sensor that, as I mentioned, is capable of 18 frames per second continuous shooting, but with 49 contrast points of autofocus detection, you're not going to expect amazing autofocus performance. This is all about shooting manual. This is all about shooting raw external video. And I'm not even going to get into the firmware update 2.0, which brings even more to the table and just develops this product further. So the first thing you can see here, power brick right there, Type-C to Type-A cable for charging the battery. This does not come with an actual battery charger. I believe this is the grip right here. I believe that's what it is. By the way, the camera does have Q20 mounts on it. This is a review unit. That's why things are not brand spanking new. Then we have a hot shoe adapter so that you can, of course, sync a flash onto this. And then this is also still, when it mounts onto the body, you see the pogo pins here, is still going to give you access to important I/O that you will need, specifically USB and HDMI, as indicated right here on this side of the attachment. I think that's pretty much everything that was in this box. Let's get on to the next one. And again, I'm just really excited about this because as soon as this was launched, it made me think of how much I love, my old RX-1 from Sony. But the RX-1, of course, was a still camera first. Video, really not a focus whatsoever. But here we have the complete opposite, something that is really all about video. And here is the star of the show. I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to see what else is in the box. Got to be a battery in there. I think the battery is rated at 1200 mAh. The lens hood for the lens, that's another thing I want to show all of you. I don't see the battery. There may be some other things underneath. Let's see. I didn't want to disassemble this too much, but not sure where the battery is. Some paperwork here, which is to be expected for the lens and body as well. Don't see the battery, but I'm sure I'll find it through the course of this video. There's no way that I got this and we're batteryless, unless it was actually in here. No. So let's just get to it. Let me move this out of the way and take a look at this bad boy. Because, again, remember, 1 pound, which is pretty insane. And there you have it. So, as I've mentioned, we have a full frame sensor right here. And in terms of, design, this is literally just a video box as far as I'm concerned. That is what this is made to be. Ergonomics, not its strong suit because it's meant to be put in a cage. And I am waiting, by the way, to get my hands on a cage to thoroughly test this. So we've got a 1/4-20 mount right here on the right side. On the top, we have a dedicated video record button, which is exactly what you would expect from a camera like this. Also love that you have a mode switch for cinema and still capability. And then, of course, a power switch as well. I believe this is a jog dial. Another thing I like about this camera, which I knew before getting my hands on it, were all the dedicated buttons you see here. Mode button, which also doubles as the delete, the trash button. Color, tone. You have your LED indicator for writing to the SD card, playback. This jog dial here is how you navigate the entire menu system, menu button. Everything is here. Your autofocus lock. So it's just such a compact little monster of a camera. Another 1/4-20 mount. This is where all the I/O happens on the left side of the camera. So you can see we have rubber coverings on all of these ports. That is the USB Type-C, HDMI out, which I believe now with the 2.0 firmware does give the capability of capturing RAW, which at launch you could not capture RAW over HDMI out. So that's a pretty big bump. Again, I said I'm not going to focus too much on the 2.0 update because I feel like that is a whole nother video. And then microphone input right there. Now, on the bottom of the camera, basically you of course have tripod mount and then the battery bay, as well as where your SD card is going to be. If I could open this, if I can, let's see. Thought I could, there we go. So it's a locking mechanism and the battery is already in there. That explains why I couldn't find it. This is also where your SD card is going to go, but again, I don't envision myself or anyone else really wanting to use this. I think it's good to have an SD card in there, but the real way to shoot with this, again, is going to be using external NVMe hard drives, whether you want to use, as I mentioned, Sabrent, Samsung, SanDisk. Pick your poison, it makes no difference. This is all about getting that raw 4K video. So let's see if this can power on, even though I already have a battery in there, and we do have power. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this off. I want to, it's saying no media because there is no media. Let's go ahead and mount this guy. And construction here is just really good. I mean, when you think about what Sigma put together and the way they priced this, it's really impressive because generally speaking, again, to get this sort of raw performance, I can think back to, what you would have had to do in the past. And, here we just have a whole nother little monster. I didn't line up the points right, did I? There we go. And, this isn't about handheld. This is not about, it being stabilized. It is about it being put on a gimbal. Like, that is one of, in my opinion, the best use case scenarios for this tiny beast is throwing this on a gimbal and, pulling manual focus and just getting raw video that you can do anything you want with in Resolve. And Resolve is going to treat this just like it would, any other, a Blackmagic, a Red camera. But here you've spent only a little over $2,000 for this kit. So, I hope I don't fall in love with this and end up telling Sigma, hey, I'm actually going to want to buy one of these. That's always a problem in the field I'm in, especially when it comes to DI products. It just happens to happen. What can I tell you? And as soon as this launched, by the way, all made in Japan, which is also rare these days, it's just, it's one of those products that is a game changer because, yeah, Sony's got their A7C coming out, but that doesn't do anything that this does. That's a hybrid. And granted, you can call this a hybrid because it can shoot both still and video, but this is really a cinematographer's camera. I mean, you see the ventilation running all around the body. There's a reason. This is a true cinema camera. But the form factor is just bonkers. I mean, it's in my palm. Let's put it, I'll put the hood on there too, why not? And I'm so excited to shoot with this thing, but I know that I need some things I don't have. I mean, Sigma did send a really nice package of kit for this, but the cage is necessary because even though you can use the hand grip, I still feel like without a cage, you can't do this thing justice. So just a side-by-side, if you will. RX1 right next to it, of course, has a 35mm lens. Shoots stills, also is only contrast-based, has a built-in flash. It's clearly a still camera, only records 1080p video. The second generation still was limited to 1080p video, even though they upgraded the autofocus system tremendously. But ultimately, as good a pairing as this is a whole nother world because not only does it shoot 4K, as I'll just keep hammering it, over and over again, but 12-bit raw 4K. And even if I do have to have one of these tiny drives mounted on it, that's insane. Absolutely insane. And the options, the possibilities are fairly limitless. That's the beauty of this. So this is not a comparison, but really just about size and how far we've come. I give Sony credit where it's due, but they've kind of dropped the ball on this form factor. And Sigma picked it up and said, hey, we can do better. We can make something that cinematographers are going to want, cinematographers are going to use, and it can still shoot stills. It's not ideal for stills. The menu system is the same that you'll find in previous Sigma Quattro cameras, so it's not a new menu system. A lot of people say, oh, it's a whole new menu system. Now, I haven't shot with Quattro cameras in the past, so I wouldn't pretend to be an expert at all in any way, shape, or form, but the fact remains that it's going to be a learning curve for me, just because I've never used one, but it's exciting, really exciting. And just to know that on the fly, you can change, I believe now with the firmware version, you can also turn off LUTs. I mean, there's just so much to this camera. Again, so much potential to what you can do. It's crazy. And I can't wait to use it. That's all I can say. I mean, right now I can't really show you anything in studio. Obviously, that's in still mode. Switch it over to video. But this is so cool. I don't know what to tell you. Again, a cinema camera that's a pound that can produce. I've seen the video that this can output, and it's just unbelievable. You would have no idea that it would be something, coming from something so small. The only thing I'm aware of that does give me pause, and I'll make sure with my Sigma rep to make sure that I'm not incorrect about this, is that it cannot be driven by an external battery or power source. So maybe I'm wrong about that. I hope I am, because that is another thing that would just unleash even more capability for this, because I believe the 1200 milliamp hour battery down here is limited to about an hour of runtime. Don't quote me on that. This is my unboxing and first look. But again, I'm just really excited. And then the best part of this unboxing and first look at this is that something else came in today, which is also really popular right now. Very different, of course, but really popular. And that is the A7S Mark III, which is a completely different beast than the FP. Completely different. The goal is different. This is clearly a hybrid, but the FP is just in a class of its own because of its form factor. Of course, you can adapt Canon glass to this. I don't really have any Canon glass, so that's not going to happen. I'll mostly be using Sigma glass, but It's going to be interesting to see how it performs. I will definitely be putting these, pitting them against each other. I can already tell you there are clearly areas where the Sigma is going to come out to be my favorite and areas where the Sony's going to come out to be my favorite. But just a very cool time right now in this pandemic. A bright spot. I always say this when really cool tech hits the deck. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but it happens sometimes. And this is one of those days. I mean, to have the FP and the A7S simultaneously, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And my dog is going to become a superstar. Not that I'm forgetting Rue. The cat is still in the mix. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. This wasn't such a quick unboxing, but what can I say? I'm excited. This is an incredibly cool product. But again, any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button. And as usual, please feel free to subscribe and please stay safe. Later.